Ladies and gentlemen, a queen walks with purpose. She knows who she is, and she does not seek validation from others. A common woman, on the other hand, looks around for approval, waiting for someone to tell her she is worthy. A queen does not wait to be chosen. She chooses herself. She does not need someone to confirm her value because she understands her worth is not determined by the opinions of others. A queen builds, while a common woman consumes. She invests in herself, in her growth, in her knowledge, and in her future. She does not waste time on meaningless distractions. A common woman, however, spends her days chasing temporary pleasures, looking for happiness in fleeting moments instead of creating a foundation for lasting success. A queen understands that everything she does today is shaping her future. She does not let emotions dictate her decisions. She moves with wisdom, discipline, and vision. A queen commands respect without demanding it. Her presence alone speaks volumes. She does not have to prove herself with loud words or desperate actions. She carries herself with dignity, knowing that true power is in how she carries herself, not in how loudly she speaks. A common woman, however, constantly seeks attention, craving recognition and trying to force others to see her worth. She does not understand that respect is earned, not begged for. A queen does not compete, she dominates. She knows that her only competition is herself. She focuses on becoming better than she was yesterday. A common woman, however, is always looking over her shoulder, comparing herself to others, feeling insecure about what she lacks instead of maximizing what she has. She wastes energy on jealousy and envy instead of focusing on her own growth. A queen understands that true success comes from self-mastery. A queen controls her emotions. A common woman is controlled by them. When problems arise, she does not react in frustration or anger. She strategizes. She remains calm in chaos because she understands that emotions are temporary, but decisions have lasting consequences. A common woman lets her feelings dictate her actions. She reacts without thinking, often making choices that lead to regret. A queen, however, understands that composure is power. A queen does not settle. She does not lower her standards for the sake of temporary comfort. She knows what she deserves, and she is willing to wait, to work, and to fight for it. A common woman, however, fears being alone. She settles for relationships, friendships, and situations that drain her because she's afraid of standing on her own. A queen would rather walk alone than walk in the wrong direction. A queen inspires others. She leads by example. She does not tear other women down. She lifts them up. She understands that true strength is not in making others feel weak, but in empowering those around her. A common woman, however, thrives on gossip, jealousy, and tearing others down to make herself feel better. A queen is secure in who she is. A common woman is threatened by anyone who shines brighter than her. A queen moves with purpose, with wisdom, and with grace. She does not seek validation, attention, or approval. She stands firm in her power. She knows that she is not just a woman, she is a force. A queen walks with purpose. She knows exactly who she is, and she does not look to others to define her. She does not seek validation from the world because she has already validated herself. Her confidence comes from within, not from compliments, attention, or approval. A common woman, on the other hand, constantly looks around for reassurance. She needs to be told she is valuable. She waits for someone to choose her, and she often doubts her own worth. But a queen does not wait to be chosen. She chooses herself. She understands that her value is not determined by the opinions of others, but by the way she carries herself, the decisions she makes, and the mindset she embraces. A queen carries herself with a presence that demands respect without saying a word. She does not need to beg for recognition because her actions speak louder than anything she could say. She does not shrink herself to make others comfortable, nor does she make herself bigger in order to prove a point. She stands in her power naturally. Her posture, her tone, her demeanor, all of these things reflect the deep self-respect she holds A common woman, however, often struggles to maintain this level of presence. She seeks external validation, hoping that the world will recognize her worth before she recognizes it within herself. She believes that if she is seen enough, heard enough, or praised enough, she will finally feel secure. But a queen understands that security is not given, it is created. A queen does not need to be the loudest voice in the room to be heard. She does not need to prove herself through arrogance or aggression. Her power lies in her ability to remain composed, to think before she speaks, and to respond rather than react. She understands that a well-thought-out action carries more weight than an emotional outburst. A common woman, on the other hand, often lets emotions get the best of her. She may feel the need to react instantly, to defend herself loudly, or to seek attention in order to feel important. But a queen knows that true strength is in her ability to control her emotions, not in letting them control her. A queen knows that she is worthy of the best life has to offer, and she refuses to settle for anything less. She does not chase relationships, friendships, or opportunities that do not align with her value. She does not beg for love, respect, or loyalty. She attracts it through her character and her standards. A common woman, however, often accepts whatever comes her way out of fear. Fear of being alone, fear of being disliked, or fear of not finding something better. She compromises too much, gives too much, and lowers her standards to accommodate people who do not truly respect her. A queen understands that she does not need to chase anything or anyone. What is meant for her will come to her because she has built herself into the kind of woman that great things naturally gravitate toward. A queen walks with purpose because she has a vision for her life. She does not wander aimlessly, allowing life to happen to her. Instead, she takes control, sets goals, and moves with intention. Every step she takes is leading her somewhere meaningful. She does not waste time on meaningless distractions or let negativity slow her down. A common woman, on the other hand, often moves without direction. She allows circumstances to dictate her path rather than taking control of her destiny. She reacts to life instead of designing her own future. But a queen understands that her journey is hers to shape, and she embraces that responsibility with confidence. A queen does not seek validation. She owns her worth. She walks with confidence, speaks with wisdom, and leads with grace. She does not look for others to define her because she already knows who she is. A queen builds while a common woman consumes. She understands that everything she does today shapes her tomorrow. She is intentional with her time, her energy, and her resources. A queen does not waste her days chasing meaningless pleasures or indulging in distractions that do not serve her growth. She invests in herself mentally, emotionally, financially, and spiritually. She reads, learns, and surrounds herself with people who challenge her to become better. She is not afraid of discomfort because she knows that growth comes from pushing beyond her comfort zone. A common woman, on the other hand, focuses more on consuming than creating. She fills her time with entertainment, gossip, and fleeting pleasures that give her temporary satisfaction but no long-term value. She seeks instant gratification instead of long-term success. Rather than building a strong foundation for her future, she allows herself to be distracted by things that will not serve her in the long run. She spends money recklessly, invests in relationships that drain her, and wastes time on activities that do not bring her closer to her purpose. A queen understands that every choice she makes today will affect her future, so she moves with wisdom and discipline. A queen is strategic in the way she builds her life. She does not wait for opportunities to come to her, she creates them. She does not rely on luck or circumstances to determine her success. Instead, she takes control of her destiny by making decisions that align with her vision. She understands the power of consistency, discipline, and patience. While others look for shortcuts, she puts in the work. She knows that true success is not built overnight, but through steady progress, persistence, and sacrifice. A common woman, however, often takes a passive approach to life. She waits for things to happen instead of making them happen. She wishes for success but does not put in the effort required to achieve it. She complains about her circumstances instead of taking action to change them. She envies those who have built something for themselves but does not realize that the same effort, discipline, and mindset are required for her to reach that level. A queen understands that the difference between where she is and where she wants to be is the work she is willing to put in. A queen builds wealth not just for herself but for those who come after her. She is financially intelligent. She saves, invests, and makes wise financial decisions. She understands the difference between assets and liabilities. She does not fall into the trap of spending money to impress others. She values financial independence over temporary luxuries. She is not reckless with money because she knows that true wealth is not just about how much you earn, but how well you manage what you have. A common woman, however, often spends impulsively, chasing trends and living beyond her means. She prioritizes temporary pleasures over long-term security. She does not think about financial freedom because she is focused on short-term enjoyment rather than long-term stability. A queen also invests in her personal growth. She understands that her greatest asset is her mind. She reads books, takes courses, and seeks mentors who can guide her on the path to success. She is constantly evolving, learning new skills and improving herself. She does not stay the same year after year. She grows, she adapts, and she transforms. A common woman, on the other hand, remains stagnant. She does not challenge herself to learn new things or step outside of her comfort zone. She allows fear, laziness, and complacency to hold her back from reaching her full potential. A queen understands that knowledge is power, and she pursues wisdom relentlessly. A queen does not consume mindlessly. She creates, she builds, and she invests. She takes control of her destiny, knowing that the life she wants is the life she must build with her own hands. A queen commands respect without demanding it. She does not need to prove herself through loud words, desperate actions, or seeking validation from others. Her presence alone speaks volumes. She carries herself with dignity, poise, and confidence. When she enters a room, people take notice, not because she is trying to be seen, but because her energy radiates strength. A queen understands that respect is earned, not begged for. It is not about making others fear her or forcing people to acknowledge her worth. It is about embodying the qualities that naturally attract admiration. A common woman, on the other hand, often seeks attention to feel important. She believes that if she speaks the loudest, if she shows off, or if she constantly reminds people of her worth, they will respect her. But true respect does not come from noise. It comes from presence, character, and self-respect. A common woman may feel insecure about being overlooked, so she compensates by trying too hard to be noticed. She demands recognition rather than allowing it to come naturally. But a queen understands that the most powerful people do not chase attention, they command it effortlessly. A queen moves with grace. She does not let emotions dictate her actions, and she does not react impulsively to situations that challenge her. She remains composed, knowing that how she carries herself in difficult moments determines how others perceive her. She does not entertain drama, gossip, or unnecessary conflicts. She chooses her battles wisely, understanding that not every situation requires a reaction. A common woman, however, often allows emotions to control her. She may overreact, argue over small matters, or engage in negativity to prove a point. She believes that reacting aggressively makes her strong, but in reality, true strength lies in restraint and wisdom. A queen sets clear boundaries and does not allow anyone to disrespect them. She knows that respect starts with how she treats herself. She does not tolerate mistreatment, manipulation, or toxic behavior from anyone, whether it be friends, family, or a partner. She values her peace over pleasing others. A common woman, however, often struggles with setting boundaries. She may tolerate disrespect because she fears losing people. She may allow others to take advantage of her kindness, hoping they will see her worth. But a queen understands that people will only respect her as much as she respects herself. She does not compromise her self-worth to keep anyone in her life. A queen understands the power of silence. She does not need to argue to prove she is right. She does not waste energy trying to convince people of her value. She lets her actions speak for her. When she walks away from situations that do not serve her, she does so with dignity, not bitterness. She knows that silence can be more powerful than words. A common woman, however, often feels the need to explain herself, to prove her worth, and to convince others that she deserves respect. She engages in unnecessary conflicts, hoping to make people see her value. But a queen understands that the right people will recognize her worth without her having to fight for it. A queen does not chase validation because she is secure in who she is. She does not need people to tell her she is valuable. She already knows it. She walks into any space with confidence, knowing that she does not have to prove herself to anyone. A common woman, however, may seek external validation to feel good about herself. She may rely on compliments, social media attention, or the approval of others to feel worthy. But a queen's worth is not defined by outside opinions. She defines it for herself. A queen commands respect effortlessly. She does not demand it. She does not chase it. She simply embodies it. Through her actions, her mindset, and her presence, she naturally earns the admiration of those around her. A queen carries herself with unshakable composure. She does not allow the opinions, judgments, or negativity of others to disturb her inner peace. She understands that true power is not in reacting to every insult or challenge, but in maintaining control over her emotions and responses. A queen does not allow people to pull her into unnecessary conflicts, nor does she let their words define her. She knows who she is, and no amount of criticism or negativity can shake her self-confidence. A common woman, on the other hand, often allows external circumstances to dictate her emotions. She may take offense easily, feel the need to defend herself constantly, or react impulsively to negativity. She gives her energy away to things that do not serve her, wasting time on arguments, gossip, and emotional outbursts. Instead of protecting her peace, she allows the actions of others to control her mood. But a queen understands that her energy is sacred, and she refuses to let anyone disturb her inner balance. A queen moves through life with intention and self-awareness. She does not get caught up in trivial matters, nor does she entertain people who bring unnecessary drama into her life. She is selective about where she invests her time and energy because she knows that everything she gives attention to either builds her up or drains her. She surrounds herself with people and experiences that align with her values and contribute to her growth. A common woman, however, often allows distractions to consume her. She may spend too much time worrying about what others think, engaging in meaningless conversations, or chasing relationships that do not serve her highest good. She spreads her energy thin, leaving little room for personal growth and fulfillment. A queen does not allow disrespect to go unchecked, but she handles it with grace. She does not lower herself to the level of those who mistreat her. Instead of engaging in unnecessary conflicts, she sets clear boundaries and enforces them with quiet confidence. She does not argue with people who are committed to misunderstanding her. She simply removes herself from situations and relationships that do not honor her worth. A common woman, however, may struggle to set boundaries. She may allow people to disrespect her repeatedly, hoping they will change. She may engage in toxic cycles of conflict, trying to prove her worth to those who refuse to see it. But a queen knows that respect is not demanded, it is enforced through the way she carries herself and the standards she upholds. A queen values emotional intelligence. She does not react out of anger, jealousy, or insecurity. She takes time to process her emotions, ensuring that her responses are thoughtful and measured. She understands that not everything deserves her reaction, and she chooses her battles wisely. A common woman, however, may allow emotions to control her. She may lash out in anger, make impulsive decisions, or hold on to grudges. She may let fear or insecurity dictate her choices, leading to unnecessary stress and conflict. But a queen masters her emotions, ensuring that she is always in control rather than being controlled by fleeting feelings. A queen speaks with wisdom and purpose. She does not waste words on gossip, negativity, or complaints. When she speaks, people listen because her words carry weight. She chooses to uplift rather than tear down, to inspire rather than discourage. She understands the power of her voice and uses it to build rather than destroy. A common woman, however, may speak carelessly, allowing gossip and negativity to consume her conversations. She may use words to seek attention rather than to create impact. But a queen understands that true power lies not in how much she speaks, but in the wisdom of what she says. A queen remains steady regardless of what life throws her way. She does not allow setbacks to shake her faith, nor does she let challenges define her. She knows that true strength is found in maintaining composure, standing firm in her beliefs, and navigating life with grace and dignity. A queen understands her value and refuses to settle for anything less than she deserves. She does not chase love, approval, or validation from others because she knows her worth is not determined by external opinions. She does not beg for attention or lower her standards to be accepted. She walks with confidence, knowing that the right people will recognize her value without her having to prove it. A queen does not tolerate disrespect, dishonesty, or inconsistency. She demands excellence, not by force, but by embodying it herself. A common woman, on the other hand, often looks for validation outside of herself. She may stay in relationships that do not honor her, accept treatment that does not align with her worth, or try too hard to be liked by others. She may settle for less because she fears being alone or believes she cannot do better. She may compromise her values to fit in or gain approval. But a queen understands that she is already complete. She does not need to prove anything to anyone, and she certainly does not lower herself to gain acceptance. A queen carries herself with self-respect and dignity in all aspects of her life. She does not entertain disrespect, and she does not beg for love or attention. She understands that her energy is precious and refuses to waste it on people or situations that drain her. She values herself enough to walk away from anything that does not align with her standards. A common woman, however, may struggle with self-respect. She may allow herself to be mistreated, believing she has to earn love or prove her worth. She may tolerate toxic relationships, thinking that staying is better than being alone. But a queen knows that being alone with self-respect is far better than being surrounded by people who do not appreciate her. A queen has a vision for her life. She knows what she wants and moves with purpose. She does not drift aimlessly, allowing circumstances to dictate her path. She sets goals and works diligently toward them. She does not waste time on meaningless distractions or short-term pleasures that do not contribute to her long-term success. She is focused, disciplined, and intentional. A common woman, on the other hand, may live without direction. She may allow life to happen to her rather than taking control of her destiny. She may procrastinate, settle for mediocrity, or spend her time on things that do not serve her growth. But a queen knows that her future is in her hands, and she takes deliberate steps to shape it. A queen values self-improvement. She understands that growth is a lifelong journey, and she is committed to becoming the best version of herself. She invests in her mind, body, and soul. She reads, learns new skills, and seeks wisdom. She takes care of her health, knowing that her body is a reflection of her self-discipline. She nourishes her spirit, understanding that inner peace and faith are the foundation of true strength. A common woman, however, may neglect self-improvement. She may stay the same year after year, refusing to challenge herself. She may focus on external appearances while ignoring internal growth. But a queen knows that true beauty comes from within, and she constantly elevates herself to a higher level. A queen knows when to say no. She does not feel obligated to please everyone, and she does not overextend herself to gain approval. She understands that saying no is a form of self-respect. She protects her energy, time, and mental well-being by setting clear boundaries, A common woman, however, may struggle with saying no. She may feel guilty for prioritizing herself or fear disappointing others. She may stretch herself too thin, taking on more than she can handle. But a queen understands that she cannot pour from an empty cup. She prioritizes her well-being, knowing that she can only give her best to others when she first takes care of herself. A queen moves with grace, confidence, and wisdom. She knows her worth, protects her energy, and refuses to settle for anything less than she deserves. She is a force of strength, elegance, and purpose. A queen possesses an unshakable sense of self. She is deeply aware of who she is, what she stands for, and what she refuses to tolerate. She does not waver in her identity, nor does she allow others to define her. She walks with certainty, knowing that her worth is not up for debate. She does not feel the need to prove herself to anyone because she is secure in her essence. Her confidence does not come from external validation, but from a deep-rooted belief in herself. A common woman, on the other hand, may struggle with her identity. She may shift her personality based on who she is around, trying to fit in rather than standing firm in who she truly is. She may allow others to dictate her choices, opinions, and self-worth. She may seek approval from society, relationships, or material possessions to feel valuable. But a queen understands that her value is not dependent on external factors. It comes from within. She does not change to be accepted. She stands firm in her authenticity and lets the world adjust. A queen does not seek revenge. She seeks growth. When she is wrong, she does not waste energy plotting ways to get even. She understands that success is the best response to negativity. Instead of dwelling on betrayal or disrespect, she focuses on elevating herself. She uses every challenge as an opportunity to grow stronger and wiser. A common woman, however, may hold on to grudges. She may spend time and energy trying to prove a point, engaging in drama, or seeking validation through retaliation. But a queen knows that true power lies in rising above the situation, not lowering herself to the level of those who wronged her. A queen masters her emotions rather than allowing them to control her. She does not act impulsively out of anger, jealousy, or insecurity. She understands that emotions are temporary and should not dictate permanent decisions. When faced with challenges, she remains calm, composed, and strategic. She does not react to negativity with more negativity. Instead, she responds with wisdom. A common woman, however, may struggle with emotional control. She may let her feelings dictate her actions, leading to unnecessary conflicts, regrets, and unstable relationships. But a queen knows that strength is not in reacting. It is in choosing how to respond with grace and wisdom. A queen surrounds herself with people who uplift her. She is intentional about her circle, ensuring that those around her align with her values and aspirations. She does not entertain toxic relationships, nor does she waste time on people who drain her energy. She understands that the company she keeps plays a major role in her growth. A common woman, however, may keep people around simply out of comfort, history, or fear of loneliness. She may tolerate negative influences, allowing herself to be pulled into unnecessary drama, but a queen chooses quality over quantity when it comes to relationships. She does not keep people in her life out of obligation. She keeps them because they add value. A queen operates with a long-term mindset. She does not make decisions based on temporary emotions or short-term gratification. She thinks ahead, considering how her choices today will impact her future. She is patient, disciplined, and focused on her bigger vision. A common woman, however, may live for the moment without thinking about the consequences. She may prioritize pleasure over progress, make impulsive choices, or settle for quick fixes rather than lasting solutions. But a queen understands that real success requires patience, sacrifice, and strategic action. A queen does not compete with others. She competes with herself. She is not threatened by another woman's beauty, success, or confidence. Instead, she is inspired by it. She celebrates other women while continuously striving to be the best version of herself. A common woman, however, may fall into the trap of jealousy, constantly comparing herself to others and feeling inadequate. She may seek validation through competition rather than self-improvement. But a queen knows that her only competition is the woman she was yesterday. She is focused on growth, not comparison.